This is such an amazing time in the Nebraska Annual Conference.
Our hope for the future is that we can change our focus.
Right here, what's happening is that we're reaching out to the community at large.
At Dietz, our three most recent members came to us from the garden. Parishioners gardening alongside them invited them to come not just to worship with us, but to join the church, and they did.
There's such a potential for growth, for people to do things that they've never been able to do or wanted to do or even knew existed before. They're going to be able to stretch out and reach out for God in so many ways because we're going to equip them. I've never seen a time when there was so much interest in training not only clergy but also laity. To be able to empower the laity to do the work that they were called to do in their baptism is fantastic. I think that we're going to move a long ways in Nebraska.
I'm standing in one of our big garden sites, one of our newest projects that provides food for people in need in East Omaha. People might wonder, why do you need a garden in Omaha? But the answer is that there's a real shortage of nutritious food for people on the east side of town. And you might not realize that 40% of the people in Nebraska who live in poverty live in our target area here in East Omaha. Our gardens are full of real live vegetables and real live people tending those vegetables. You see Tara and Lisa here with me looking for heirloom cherry tomatoes. They're some of the many participants in our gardens. What happens is that we practice radical hospitality. The only criteria for having a garden plot is being willing to have a garden plot. And each of our gardens is connected to at least one local congregation, so that local congregation members are gardening alongside neighbors and our new friends and inviting them to participate in our congregations and worship. You might be asking yourself, what does a garden have to do with discipleship? Let me tell you, the garden has everything to do with discipleship. In the gardens, we see the signs of discipleship. We see risk-taking mission. We see neighborhoods being changed by the action of the people who have the courage to invite others to come to the garden. We see new disciples. At Dietz, our three most recent members came to us from the garden. Parishioners gardening alongside them invited them to come not just to worship with us, but to join the church, and they did. In the garden, we see gracious generosity. Each garden does a double tithe of the harvest to area food banks, and one of our gardens is at a homeless shelter, so all the food goes to people who live there. In the garden, we see disciples who make a difference.
Now, I understand, and I'm sure that everyone watching this understands that Christ did not call us to make members. He called us to make disciples. But membership is a way of gauging or judging how we're doing, and we've not been doing exactly all that well. So I'm encouraged that we've turned our focus to that. I also believe that the adoption of the plan indicates an attitude change in the conference. An attitude change in this way, that we've decided that we're going to become more outward focused than we have been. We've been a bit inward focused. In the 15th chapter of John, Jesus talks a lot about fruit bearing. And I think that one of the things that we've decided we need to be about more is bearing fruit more than polishing fruit. And so we have decided that there are various things that we're going to work on. And I'm encouraged and confident that the people of the Nebraska Conference are going to become a more inviting people to their churches. Especially the lay people, are going to learn, if they are not comfortable doing it now, how to invite their family, their friends, their neighbors, their acquaintances to come to church with them. We're going to become more like Andrew and say to people, come and see, and invite them to come to our church and meet the living Christ.
Today we have three groups that have come to a La Clase activity. We have Bethany Lutheran from Elkhorn, and they are here putting on a carnival. What you see behind you is a carnival they've set up, different activities, different games, and different prizes that kids can win. And we're right out here by our community garden. We had a group from Faith Westwood United Methodist Church that came out today and helped us serve lunch during our lunch program. And we have a bunch of kids that come to our La Clase activities. Today we also had a field trip where they went to the Western Heritage Museum So what you see is 3 groups of kids coming together on one day to celebrate and have fellowship with these carnival activities and with the different activities that have gone on in the church today. Right here, what's happening is that we're reaching out to the community at large. It's not just the kids that come to Grace United Methodist Church. This is a community event. We're right here by the community garden where people have already come together, adults especially, and now the youth have an opportunity to come out and participate in this carnival. And ultimately what it's going to do is give this church more recognition within the community and open up the doors to people coming in and exploring their Christianity and learning about Jesus Christ. Within our core youth group, we have 11 to 15 individuals who continually reach out to other youth groups and are very open, and we are focusing on them as the next generation of leaders to become the true disciples of our church and to ensure that our church lives into the next generation.
So our hope for the future is that we can change our focus, reinvest in our leadership, better evaluate who we are and what we do so that we can both provide personal growth and growth in our congregations. That's our hope for the future.
And I think that in 10 years, we'll look back, or the people that are part of the conference at that time, will look back at 2006 and say that was a wonderful first step, but there will be a whole trail of steps that will have been made since that time.